Stop right there.
Yeah, I know I've got a lot of explaining to do for why I'm not doing Lords of Shadow right now. First of all, intro. Greetings everyone old and new. Welcome to Haseo Reviews. Now that that's out of the way, let me give a series of excuses for why I'm not following up on the teaser that I did in the Bayonetta review. Everything was going fine. I had this whole month-long marathon planned out with one video releasing a week, and then as soon as Bayonetta goes up, I catch a cold. So I spent 2 weeks trying to get over this cold because I did not want to sound like death warmed over 3 fucking times in order to deliver the best commentary possible. And then, by the time I got better, it was almost the end of October, so I was like, okay, I'll just skip Lords of Shadow because that's got so much in it that needs to be covered that I can't just condense it into a shorter episode as part of a month-long Halloween special. So I decided my next review would be Devil May Cry 5. And then the procrastination bug hit me in the ass like never before, coupled with writer's block that I have not had on this level since, God, the beginning of Haseo Reviews. And now that there's only 2 days left in October at the time that I'm recording this, there's not enough time for me to compile an entire in-depth look at Devil May Cry 5 and address all the points that I want to in a thorough fashion within just 2 days. So instead, I'm doing something that I've wanted to do for a while, which is a top 5 list. Now, since Halloween's approaching, and by the time this goes up on YouTube, it may already be Halloween, I don't know, I haven't predicted my upload date yet, I figured, why not tackle top 5 stuff related to scary things in gaming? But that's too easy. Because if I just said, top 5 scariest moments in gaming, it would all be stuff from like Resident Evil or Silent Hill. So I decided to issue myself a challenge. Limit myself to games that are not in the survival horror or psychological horror or horror genre whatsoever. So without further ado, this is Haseo's top 5 scariest moments in non-horror games.
Lego Island was not only the first Lego video game ever made, but my introduction to the world of PC gaming. I fondly remember that fateful day in 1998, holy shit, that was over 20 years ago, when my family got their first computer and 2 games for me to play on it. Some Rugrats trivia game whose name escapes me where answering correctly moved Reptar further across a board, and obviously, Lego Island. Now, I was too stupid to look at the manual to figure out what you were even supposed to do in the game. I just liked exploring the island, playing the mini-games, and building my own vehicles. Then, one day, by complete accident, I stumbled my way into the game's main plot, where you play as hip skateboarding pizza delivery boy Pepperoni, tasked to deliver a pizza to the island's jail. However, doing so frees Lego Island's only criminal, the Brickster, who promptly goes on a citywide rampage. Since Pepper was the dunce that freed him in the first place, it's up to him and him alone to stop the Brickster from destroying the entire island. However, despite the game being ostensibly aimed at kids, it has 2 endings. The good ending where Pepper saves the day, and this bit of nightmare fuel.
It's mine! All mine! All mine! Mine?
This cutscene was so frightening to 5-year-old Haseo that he never touched the game again. And then promptly regretted that after he lost his copy during one of the many times he moved across the entire state of North Carolina. I know it's not a particularly hard game to find on the secondhand market, but it's the principle of the thing, damn it! Sonic CD, a game that, depending on my mood, is either one of my favorite 2D Sonic games or one of my most hated. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. You all know what's coming. Say it with me now. Fun is infinite with Sega Enterprises. Next. Metal Gear Solid 3 is simultaneously the goofiest and the most gut-wrenching game in the Metal Gear saga, in my opinion. You've got a quirky boss squad with weird superpowers named after the emotions they feel in battle, a Russian colonel with lightning powers, gratuitous tits and ass shots courtesy of Eva, and sandwiched in all of this is the Sorrow, a now-dead medium who was a member of an elite commando squad during World War II. After Snake escapes from prison and dives off a waterfall to escape his pursuers, he finds himself in the afterlife, confronted by the ghost of the Sorrow, who doesn't actually fight Snake, but rather forces him to deal with the ramifications of his actions on the battlefield. All you have to do is slowly walk down a river until you reach the end. Not the end. I mean the end of the river. It seems simple, right? Well, if you were too trigger-happy, stab-happy, or utterly sadistic, the river is filled with the ghosts of every single enemy you've killed so far, who slowly shamble toward you in zombie-like fashion, screaming about the pain of death and even commenting on the way they were killed. It's simultaneously one of the most ingenious moments in the franchise due to how many different scenarios the game can recognize, from throwing a sleeping soldier off a cliff to slaying their throat, to killing them, letting their corpse be eaten by vultures, killing the vultures, and then eating the vultures with the soldier's flesh still inside its stomach. Touching them deals damage, so the more soldiers you killed up to this point, the harder it is to avoid them. Once you finish this hell gauntlet, you inexplicably drop dead and the game over screen appears. You can still access what little inventory you have left though, meaning you have to know to pop a revival pill, which probably brings Snake back to life, with this whole event never being mentioned again unless you decide to immediately radio your team about it, leaving you to wonder whether it truly happened or not. It's not the weirdest thing to happen in Metal Gear as a whole, but it sends chills down my spine every time I replay it. Bravo, Kojima Productions, and here's hoping Death Stranding lives up to the hype. Mega Man X4 is notorious for its cheesy voice acting, so I've opted to use one of the fan dubs featuring Lucas Gilbertson, the voice of Zero from Command Mission through Maverick Hunter X. Coincidentally, my favorite voice of Zero. In Zero's campaign, he's been haunted by nightmares of him slaughtering people, but has no idea exactly what they mean. Before encountering the big bad Sigma to thwart his plans, Sigma reveals that Zero used to be a Maverick, a rogue Reploid that causes chaos and destruction for the hell of it. We then cut to a flashback of Sigma's first encounter with a Berserk Zero. At the time, Sigma was the highest ranking officer in the Maverick Hunters, but he's easily overpowered by Zero in this insane, almost animalistic state. Zero gives plenty of creepy slasher smiles and laughs and growls maniacally throughout the entire fight, dealing heavy damage to Sigma and giving him his iconic facial scars. We never got to see this side of Zero again, even in the X5 scenario where he awakens to his true programming as a living weapon meant to destroy the world through the virus that Wily implanted in him. It stands out as one of the darkest moments in an already dark story. Senran Kagura Shinobi Versus. That lighthearted Dynasty Warriors-esque game with tons of sexy ninja girls with gigantic tits who you can strip down to the nude. Nothing could possibly be nightmare fuel here, right? Say hello to the Hebijo route, where you take on the role of an elite squad of evil shinobi who systematically murder every other character in the game. Partly for revenge against the Hanzo Academy for defeating them in the original Senran Kagura, partly to assert their school's dominance, and partly because Senran Kagura goes to some surprisingly dark places in certain games. This whole story route is an emotional kick in the nads if you played the Hanzo and Gessen routes first, and has some horrifying implications since these aren't just tournament-style fights between rival schools. This is an outright act of genocide against anything that the Hebijo squad deems as a threat. And that's without delving into my personal favorite character in the franchise, Murasaki. This whole plotline stands out at the #1 spot purely for the what the fuck factor in a game that advertises itself as nothing but gratuitous fan service, catering to every fetish you can think of. Seriously, what the fuck, Marvelous?
Well, I hope all of you enjoyed my first top 5 list. It probably ended up being a complete and utter mess because I've never edited anything in a top 5 format before, and I'm terrible at ordering things in any sort of hierarchy, so hopefully you guys like this. Maybe I'll continue this format in the future, maybe not. But if you'll excuse me, I've got Halloween preparations to do, and I've seriously got to get started on the Devil May Cry 5 script. Seriously, I want to at least get that out before the end of 2019. God, this marathon has been a complete and utter failure.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the video. If you're new here, click the subscribe button and the bell to stay up to date with my uploads. If you want to help support the show, check out my Patreon for rewards or my PayPal for one-time donations. Finally, if you want to wear my logo on your clothes, check out my store on Teespring. Links to everything in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters.